So hey, everybody, Renny Doyle. We've got somebody, Jason Rose. Jason and I go back a long time in the industry. Even before I met Jason, I had a lot of appreciation for Jason, just because of what he's done in the industry and who he's worked with. Jason and I always haven't seen eye to eye, and yet when it's really important, Jason and I have never been on. We've had opposite opinions and even battled it out. But you know what? I want to show you who's on here right now that we've always come back together, because I think of morals, values, and growing and maturing has been a big part of it. But also we have the betterment of the industry and humans at large in our minds. Jason's got a huge heart. He really does. He's very energetic in a very mild way. Is Jason? I've seen him pissed off a couple times. and it was even pretty much controlled chaos then. And so we're kind of the opposite of each other in that demeanor. And that's, again, I think why we come back together. So it's really exciting to have Jason join us this morning just to share some different opinions. Now, what we're doing is we're going through the book I wrote back in 2012, and Jason was a big part of that. He had a huge section in the book. And ironically, today is the section that he contributed to. So it just worked out perfectly that it happened that way. I'm going to switch over to this slide real quick, and we're just going to go in here, and our Jason, if you wouldn't mind, just tell us about yourself. And before we get into the business side of Jason and the professional Jason, I'd love to hear about the personal side of Jason. You know, your kids, married, where you grew up, how long you've been married, all those, what you like to do for fun, which I already know. And let's go from there.
Yeah, well, first off, thanks for having me on this, Renny. I appreciate the time and our interaction and our friendship over the years. And my least favorite topic to talk about is myself. So I'm going to make this really quick, but I am married, have a son who's 20 years old. Both were laid off and both at home now. So, my son moved back from California because he was laid off, and he's trying to sort through on what his next move is now, given all of this. And then, as you mentioned, my other, I call it my other passion, is the whole Jeeping thing and off-road recreation. And the outdoors and being in the mountains and being in the deserts. That's another thing that I really, really enjoy doing. In fact, I wish I was there now, but Moab, Utah, my new favorite place to go to, is all shut down. You can't even go there now. So it's kind of a sad time in that respect, but so yeah, that's me on the personal side.
So, hey, another question for you. What do you think about this new Bronco Scout? You think it's going to be a nice alternative to a Jeep? They've done I've read a lot about it. Looks pretty interesting.
Yeah, there's several new, products coming out. That whole Jeep product positioning, if you will, on the marketing side, I think there's some companies going after that. But it's for an off-road recreationist. It's all good to me. I love seeing it.
Yeah, me too. I'm interested in going and seeing what that the new Bronco is going to do, especially the Scout, just for off-roading purposes. So we've done a fair amount of Jeeping, and Jason stayed at our shop with his RV before, and we've taken it down. I've developed a really good friend here locally that unfortunately passed away through Jason, and him and Bill and I had a lot in common. Besides Jason's friendship, we were both. He was a deputy. I was a reserve deputy. He was in charge of search and rescue, so we had a lot of conversations. The last picture of Bill that I took, Jason, I don't know if you realize what it was. We were all up and his Jeep broke down and he had to call. We had to tow him out. Do you remember that? And he had to have a flatbed. And I took a picture of him looking at his Jeep with the flatbed, pulling it up onto the back. Yeah. And that was the last picture I took of him. But yeah. So let's talk about Jason's detailing. Let's go back. Let's go back to, you're a young dude, you jump into detailing. So kind of go back to that time frame.
Yeah, so I started, washing and polishing cars in high school. And it started as just something, to do for family and neighbors. And that quickly developed into, doing teachers at school and doing more of an extended group of cars. And that evolved into a business. So it became my way of making money while I was in high school. And then graduated high school and went into college. And it's kind of unique today, but what I did back then was 6 years of college to get a 4-year degree because I learned slow. But the reality is I was working full time while going to school full time, so it took longer. But the thing about college was it completely paid for my college degree detailing cars. So there was no student loans. Money didn't drop out of the sky for me, so I had to work for every dollar. And I look back at that and I'm pretty proud of that, but it's actually very, very challenging to do nowadays to actually support yourself while going through college. It's really, really challenging now because the costs are much higher. But I did that. I worked full time. I had a mobile detail business in Southern California for 12 years, which in Southern California, you can do that year round, no problem, as you know. And that evolved. I joined the McGuire's team in 1996 and had a good 20-year run with that company. I was in entry-level sales, moved into marketing and then product development and training, and did some really cool stuff with that company. A great team to work with. And I've been with the Rupus team for 4 years now, and I moved from California to Colorado for that job. And I'm really loving the Denver area, being so close to the Rockies, and the move to Rupus was very, very good for me personally. So with Rupus, I'm the lead trainer in the company. We have like 22 people that train around the world, but I coordinate our training programs. I also run our academy in Denver, and I'm also on our product development team. So that's what I do for Rupus.
Let me ask you a question real quick. How the transition from small business owner to corporate, what was that switch? What moved you from going from owning a detailing company to going in with McGuire's?
Well, it was interesting time at that time because McGuire's was one of my customers. So I had developed a relationship with the company and the executives and employees at McGuire's, and even Barry McGuire, I was his very first outside detailer. Up until that point, he had done his own cars. But I would spend my entire Friday every week going to the McGuire's corporate office in Irvine, California. And they were my customers. So that's how that relationship started. But what started the actual working for them is an odd situation. I think I wrote about this, maybe it was in your book or somewhere else. But anyway, it was just a weird event that happened. I was at the McGuire's office when back then, and I'm going to date myself here, but my pager went off.
I love it.
So I had this page and I went into the office to make a phone call. Came out of the office, my very expensive, fully equipped truck was stolen. So it was taken in a matter of a few minutes by going in to make a phone call. And at that time, it was pretty devastating because I had my whole life in that truck. My whole business and my life and everything was all in that truck, and it was stolen. But anyway, long story short, out of that event, because of the way the McGuire's family and the company responded to my truck and my equipment being stolen, I had decided in that moment that I wanted to work with that team and I wanted to work with that family. So I had tried to get a job at that time. There was not one available for me, but it took some time, 2 years later, actually, of trying and trying and trying. But it's a testament to perseverance, but it eventually happened 2 years later where I got a job with that company. But having my truck stolen was the impetus. It was the reason why I wanted to work for that company.
I'll be dang. Any regrets of giving up your own business and going to work for corporate? There's any times that you look back and said, I wonder.
No regrets, but what I do think about is the knowledge and the skills I've developed since then. Oh man, if I had a detail business now, I could just be killing it. You know,
Right. Yeah. Well, maybe not right now, but you would be
well,
killing it.
not this moment, but you know what I mean.
Right. No, 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 exactly. So let me
Um,
ask you, you've had a lot of experience, now, you mentioned the Denver training facility. A lot of people don't realize I came to one of your guys' trainings, PNS hosting an event there.
mhm,
And Jason and Dylan were really kind enough. They both reached out and said, "Hey man, what part of this do you want to train in?" And I said, "I don't. I want to be a student, you know?" And
yeah,
I learned several takeaways. So people say, what can I learn? Well, you can learn a lot. I
yeah,
never say, I'm always asking, what can I learn and how can I learn it and how can I learn it now and how can I learn more? But let me tell you, if you haven't been to that facility, it's amazing. It's an amazing facility and a lot of knowledge shared and a lot of technology, a lot of
yeah,
effort, a lot of thoughts, a lot of brain cells burned to build that out. It's a
yeah.
pretty amazing facility.
Yeah, I'm pretty proud of it. It's a great place to learn stuff, so I appreciate the mention on that. And I've also been to, one of your programs and your trainings, and I learned a lot. So you're absolutely right. I agree 100% that even people that have been doing this for 20 plus years, you can always learn something new every day.
Oh, absolutely. So let's go into this is that, Jason and I, it's funny because, I was at an awards ceremony, last month. We're down at Mobile Tech and there's a gentleman being awarded, the same level of award. And he looked over at me and he goes, "Hey, how old are you?" And I said, "I'm 53." And he goes, "Well, what the hell are you going to do for the next 30 years?" You know, but my point to this is that Jason and I, we're standing on the shoulders of some giants. People look at
Mhm.
us, and it's how important. What did Barry and his family and that team? What did they bring to your life, and what did they bring to your career?
Oh man, there's a set of values that, of course, I'm aligned with, but the family was just fantastic, and I miss Nicole McGuire very often, but she was the very first phone call I got when my truck was stolen, and the family was just incredible. They offered whatever support I needed. They said, "Hey, whatever you need, we're going to help you get back in business," and I declined that kind of help, but that was the moment that, hey, this is a group, this is a family, this is a team, this is a company that I wanted to be a part of.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So, I like to say this too, is because the people that you're in the same boat, both of us are, is that we train, a wide range. Everybody thinks that detailing is a young person's game, but our most seasoned or our most patient and probably profitable people are in their 30s to,
Yeah.
we just had a student that's 70 years old and he was starting it as a way for his kids not to be reliant on a corporate job, which I thought was really cool. But, I tell people all the time, and I'd love to get your input on this, is that is young people need to learn to listen to people that have been around, and some people that have been around a long time are full of shit. But the ones that are open-minded, and this is the biggest thing, that will allow to be influenced by the younger people coming in, that will allow to look at new angles and new ways of thinking. I think that it goes both ways. I think it's a 60-40 split. I think that there's experiences that you and I have that we're not trying to brag and we're not trying to boast. We're trying to keep people from hitting the same damn potholes that we did.
Exactly right.
And so, but on the like is that I think also is that guys like you and I, people that won't listen to the fresh people in the industry, are blinded because that's what pumps youth into me and what keeps me absolutely. I mean, I got another 30 years left. I can't imagine giving this gig up. And
Yeah.
so, what's your take on that of us relying on each other? In the trenches.
Well, regardless of expertise and experience and age, I think that the general comment about just listening to each other, even brand new people that are first year in the detail business, I've learned a lot from some of those guys and gals. Um, and then people that have been in it a long time, I learn a lot too. But I just think being, like you said earlier, being open to it is one of the most annoying things to me personally through this whole crisis has been the morality police that jump on Facebook and just bash other people, and profanity and shaming and bullying and all that stuff. And I know this isn't directly what your question was, but it kind of ties to it in that, why are we doing this? I mean, there are lots of ways. There's what you share and what your opinion is, and then there's how you share it. And I think what's missing with a lot of people is the importance of how you share it. You can be directly opposed to what somebody's saying, but also be respectful and compassionate about another person's view. But it's very tough for me personally. I've, in over 10 plus years, I don't know how long I've been on Facebook, but more than anything right now through this crisis, Facebook is important to me because of the isolation, the physical isolation right now, but it's my way of connecting with people, right? But at the same time, it's a double-edged sword because I go to Facebook and I see on my feed a lot of this just nastiness, which I honestly didn't expect to see. I didn't expect that to happen, but now that I've seen it, it's happening every day. I've never before on Facebook used those buttons, the unfollow, the unshare, the block. I've never used those before up until now. And I realized I need to take my own responsibility for the messaging that comes into me every day. And I like Facebook and I want to go to it. I like Instagram. I want to go to it. It's important to me today, but I have to screen it. And that's a hard part for me to do right now, is to actually, block people and say unfriend people and unfollow people. I don't like doing that, but I have to right now for my own sanity.
No, I agree. And, I did something that I didn't really want to do. And that was this last Friday. I just posted today, I'm off of social media for at least the weekend. I didn't come back until yesterday afternoon for the same exact reasons. There's people that just like to watch the world burn, and we've seen that. The thing that bothers me too, and we talked a little bit offline before yesterday, is that we're also seeing the desperation coming out, and kind of, the detailing industry's come a long ways, but we just saw a weakness. And, people's, the way they conduct themselves, if they don't think that customers are going to see that. For instance, I had to take my brother to the hospital. He's got to have an emergency eye surgery here in the next few days. And, we really haven't gone out. We've taken the social distancing very serious.
Mm-hmm.
We live in a small mountain town. And if it runs through here, it's going to be devastating. So we've stayed clear of everybody. I could not believe the behavior of people in non-essential businesses that were taking zero precautions. They're open, for one, and number two, no precautions. That is just reckless to me.
Yeah.
And some of what you're speaking of, I've seen in the industry. And you know what? If people want to stay open and they want, I'm not thinking any less. Well, I can't say that. I'm not going to judge you, and I'm definitely not going to take and call you out in a public arena such as social media.
Yeah.
I might lose respect for you, but I also realize that some people are scared. They're trying to survive.
Mm-hmm.
But I've given people other alternatives. Go get a job part-time. Don't be part of this problem. Side thing, I had a young man challenge me and said, what if I go to work for Costco and I'm exposed to it there? Am I not helping spread it there? And I said, yeah, but you're giving a useful service of getting supplies to people. As detailers right now, the chances
Mm-hmm.
that are, being recontaminated so quickly is, in my estimate, we're not given any valid services right now. There are some that are doing it with EMS and within specialty services. I'll grant that. But, and here's the thing, if I saw people yesterday in non-essential businesses, I used to be in the window tinting industry. I saw there's an area where my shop used to be that there's 3 window tinting companies within a quarter mile. All 3 of them were open, bay doors open, tinting cars, and no PPE whatsoever. None. And I just, each their own. But as a citizen, this thing's going to go blow up. We're going to see what happened in Italy, and you've had firsthand accounts because of Rupas being there. and they took it very lackadaisy at people. You know, they like to socialize. Guess what? Southern California, we like to socialize, and it's going to bite us in the booty. And so I think what you're saying is I'm on board 100%, Jason, is I feel bad. My business is shut down. I don't have a paycheck coming in right now, but I also prepared for this. And believe me, if I wasn't prepared for this, I would be out asking people plastic or paper when I bag your groceries.
Yeah.
I'm a survivalist. So let me ask you this: is detailing up until now? We're going to go back. We're going to go back before any of us had seen what was going down in China with coronavirus. What was detailing? Ramp it up of when you started compared to 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. How had detailing changed in your eyesight? How it had come around from the beginning, from your early days?
Well, I think it's a very broad stroke statement, but I've watched the detailing industry over several decades, just like you have. And in the beginning, it was a very individual business, and it was I think in the first 5-10 years that I was involved in, I'm talking about 1980s and early 1990s, there was not networking. It predates things like Facebook and maybe not the internet, but the whole networking part of detailing really wasn't developed yet. So the detailing as a business, you pretty much were on your own, as I was. The only interaction I had with information about products and tools was the sales guy that came to sell me products. But it really was a very isolated individual time for detailing. And with the internet and with social media, it's really connected not only local communities of detailers, but also globally around the world. So I think we're a much more connected industry now, which is fantastic. I'm super glad that is happening, because there's this feeling of, you're not alone. There's this big business going on. But also the development of technology has really changed detailing. I think tools have changed things. There were some pivotal moments in the whole detailing history that completely changed how people did detailing. So, I mean, there's several of those moments throughout the history. So I think it's fascinating. And I love what's happened recently. The whole concept of paint coatings has really brought a level of profitability to detailing that wasn't there before. And I think it's fantastic. And there's, at this moment, there's a lot of detailers, well, actually not at this moment, but prior to this crisis, there were a lot of detailers that are in their first year, second year, 3 year of business. So there's a lot of new blood in the detailing industry, which I think is fantastic.
It's gonna be a lot of new blood coming into the industry again here shortly. Because unfortunately, I think we're gonna see a thinning, natural thinning. Which,
well, as other financial crises have hit the industry as well as other industries, there's a cleansing that happens. The ones that weren't prepared or could not survive, they get flushed out, and then there's new blood that comes in afterwards.
well, I'm glad you said that. You know what? Here's the deal. I've watched it, as have you. Is the people that can survivalist, the survivor mentality. Every single one of them, and you and I know we could throw a rock and hit 20 of them. Yeah. They've come out stronger in these events. Yeah, it's hurt. It's like ripping a Band-Aid off. But you know what? They've not come out weaker. All of them that we know. And I mean, they've come out stronger.
Yeah.
And that's what I keep telling people, hey man, hunker down and get ready for this next wave, because if you can make it through, guess what? I think we just forced ourselves into a recession. And guess what? We're going to force ourselves right back into an up spiral.
Yeah.
Because that's what we do.
Yeah.
Is especially in America, we're survivalists, man. And I think that we've become kind of soft as a society, not just in America, globally. I think that we forgot what challenges are. It's been a while since we've had something nasty like this affect the globe. I think this is going to toughen us up. I don't condone it. I wish it hadn't happened. But
Yeah.
on the same token, is what changes are we going to see globally within people? At least the people that matter. So let's move ahead. What's detailing in your eyes? What's detailing going to be moving ahead?
Well, certainly, I think, biohazard and being prepared for that kind of services being provided, I think that's going to be elevated for sure. That's a given.
Yeah.
I just think as an industry-wide, we are going to be more prepared for this. I think it sucker punched us. It was a sidekick that none of us were prepared for, some more prepared than others. But I think in that one area, I think detailing in general going forward, there's going to be an emphasis on biohazards and how to deal with that kind of a activity. So that's for sure.
Well, and I think here's the deal too: is no longer are we looking at simple PPE for us to protect us. We are going to have customers looking at us to protect them. I think
Yep.
that's going to change drastically. I think interiors are going to become, it's kind of been our forte. It's where we've made within our companies. We've always emphasized, not that we didn't do paint correction and coatings, but even on jets, we just realized that there was a little niche that a lot of detailers ignored, and we went after it and we did well with it. We also learned too, as prepared as we were, is that we weren't prepared enough.
We're going to look inside now and say, what were we not prepared for? What could we be prepared for? The other hope I have, Renny, and I'm not 100% certain this is going to happen, but it's one of those that I really, really sincerely hope our industry does going forward. And that is that we develop a lot more compassion and respect for each other.
Amen. I hope so.
I don't know, but sometimes you get into crisis and you get sucker punched by something like this, and you do come out stronger with skills and the ability to handle stuff a little better. But I just really hope as a community of detailers globally that we treat each other better.
I do too. I've got that. Even there's somebody that I don't agree with what they've done in the industry right now, and I shared that with we have a mutual friend. We know each other not real well, but my delivery to him, not directly, was through friends. Was I'm disappointed in his actions, but I like him. He's got so much to offer. I just don't understand why he went down that road. And so maybe when this is done, him and I can have a discussion. Another young man reached out and attacked me, and he doesn't like me. And I reached out and said, hey, come break bread with me. We'll probably like each other a lot, when this is done, I think that just put the hammers down, stop hammering at each other. And we got to get through this together. And the more I'm not talking that you have to agree with each other, right?
Yeah.
But,
I'm not saying that.
No, not at all. But I'm just saying, there's a civil way to do it. And I think that's one of the little Achilles that we just saw in our industry, is that if we want to be considered a real trade in industry, we need to act like a real trade in industry.
Yeah.
Right now, you're not seeing us act at a level that's going to allow us to propel ourselves to the next level instantly. We got some work to do.
Agreed.
So there's going to be a lot of opportunity within this epic occurrence. There's a backside to this. It's going to end. What do you see as the upsides? If you were in business right now, running a shop again or running a mobile unit, what would you be looking at, Jason? What's some things that you would have your eyes on right now? What would you be doing now to prepare for when this all ends?
Yeah. So I've actually been asked this question, Renny. Some detailers have reached out to me and they said, hey, if you were in business right now, what would you be doing? Because currently I'm not a professional detailer. I don't have a business, and I haven't for quite a while. And it's a fair question, but I answer two different ways. My first answer is because of my lung condition, I would be making decisions if I had a business right now that are because of my lung condition. So I am at high risk for this particular virus, and not only thinking of my own health and my own survival, but I would be very concerned about the people around me if I got sick right now. So I would be, if I were in business right now, I would be completely shut down and I would not be interacting with cars or people. So that's one answer. The other answer is that right now is a great opportunity for taking time to do some of the stuff that we didn't have time to do before, or we chose not to do before. So one of them is working on your skill set. One of them is working on your business. The other one's working on you, your character, your, everything about you. I would be taking the time to do those because I strongly believe in a positive outcome. I think we're all going to get out of this, and I think there will be there is a beginning, a middle, and an end to this. I don't know when the end is, but I think there's going to be one. And when that happens, I think detailing services, the business is going to come back full force. So
I do too. I think we're going to have a little bit of a stall. It's going to take everybody a little time, but hey, look, there's a lot of people with money in our market. We're going to talk about that here in a second. You can go find those people, and I think it's, man, I couldn't have said it any better, Jason. We're starting some fun stuff. So we're doing these events 3 days a week. It's cool to have you on because it was right in the section of the book that you actually wrote in.
Thank you.
But I'm going to start our shop truck. This roll salt truck. It's had a rough year. We moved into our property. It was a carry-all for all the flooring we did, all the construction we did, all the landscaping we did. My mom got ill, and I never had time to clean it up after the moving both our residence and our shop, and then doing everything we did with both. Then it goes into we had to prepare my mom's house when she passed away to sell it. So it goes back into being a work truck, so to say, and it is trashed. It's winter. The truck is. Chris is like, every time he gets in it, it's like, this thing's disgusting. And for me, it is. It's really not that bad, but I don't have vehicles like this. So we're going to start. And then our sweet 16 daughter, she's got a new vehicle. So we're going to take and document our projects. And then I've got a workbench that was in my mom's basement that is 50 plus years old. It was built as a welder's desk. So we're going to turn that into our sanding toolbox. So we're going to take and go through and document us redoing this 50-year-old tool chest and rhino lining it and making it look cool just because it's got nostalgic to it. I think there's a lot of things that people could do there to show what they're doing in their shop to make their businesses better and not spend hardly a dime. Polish the floors. Do something that makes your shop look better. So I think that moving forward is that I know me, I've already got the heebie-jeebies around other people. I'm a germaphobe. Now, after this, the rest of my life is, man, I want my stuff sanitized. Yeah. There's going to be a lot of people that carry this on all the way through, that the rest of their lives. So I think there's a lot of opportunity of doing interior detailing correctly and marketing it correctly.
Totally agree.
Cool. So let me, a couple things is that I love this. I got to add to this is don't judge, help others. Is you keyed in on that, man. And that just warms my heart is that right now, you know what? If you don't agree, hey man, I'm not shutting down. That's okay. Don't go starting fights with people that are still running up and running. They're going to have to deal with their own, leave it alone. Also, the people that are telling their customers, hey, we're not going to get near your cars. We're going to take care of ourselves and our families. Don't rag on them either. Just leave each other alone. I think that was key, but do it in a professional and loving way, as you said, and just stop it because you're making us all look bad. I mean, it really, when people do that, it's so much egotistical bullshit, roostering, peacocking, all this crap. And you're really making a whole industry look silly. Just keep quiet. Just keep quiet.
Yeah, I go back to the fact that there is the message. So whatever side of the fence you're on, stay open or close, or you're essential, non-essential, all that stuff. And both sides are super important. And I've actually supported 100% people that have made decisions on either side of that fence.
You know,
But there is the message. And if you disagree with somebody, or if you strongly believe something, and I'm not saying don't share that, I'm just saying there's another part to a message, and that is how you deliver it. So we can say things in ways that chop people down at the kneecaps, or we can say things in ways that build people up, or at least at minimum respect where they're at.
absolutely.
Um,
You know, and
yeah,
there's no reason to take this to an ugly level.
yeah,
You know, there's just absolutely, there's no upside to going ugly. You know, there
yeah.
really,
And you know what I know about psychology and relationships, which is something I've studied a lot. Uh, for myself and talking to other people about, when you lash out and you're nasty to somebody, that doesn't make me feel good, and it certainly doesn't make somebody else feel good. And it's not our job to go make everybody feel good, but like what you just said, I question what is the benefit of just being nasty with people? There is no benefit. Nobody gains from that.
no, no,
And at a time like this, it's a time where we need to like look inside and bring out the best parts of us, because we have gifts we can share with other people. And right now, more than any other time I've been alive, this is a very good time to be giving your gifts to other people.
absolutely. A lot of people are going to need it, you
Yeah,
know, and it's a
yeah.
time that we can all shine and come together. And so, hey, let me ask you this: is that, well, I'll tell you what. I was watching this thing unfold, as we all were, a week ago, and there was people in the industry. I mean, some pretty notable shops and individuals that were basically thrown in the towel. That said, if they're going to be broke in a matter of days. How can that happen? I mean, what went on with these guys that they 10 days of a bad event could take them out that easy? So what's your
Well, I think this entire thing took all of us by surprise. I don't think many of us expected this sort of thing to happen. And every day I wake up and listen to how this has all evolved in the world, and I'm still in shock, still kind of stunned. But I think the damage is going to be a variable. So some people have been hit harder than others. Some so for some it's an inconvenience. For some it's a devastating blow that they don't have a business anymore. And I think it's a time to be introspective and think, okay, this is how this has impacted me. How come it's impacted me this way? And what can I do in the future to be better prepared so that it isn't as damaging? But I really feel for those detailers that have had to shut down their business. I think you said it best when one of your early podcasts, where you had shared with me, at least individually, that it was just gut-wrenching to tell people the straight facts, because you knew it was going to impact people in different ways. And some people, it just meant you got to be out of business or you're not working right now. But I think, to answer your question, I think if you get hit with something like this and 5 to 10, 12 days into it, and you do not have the financial resources to keep going, if you wanted to, or you could, then that should be a wake-up call, I think. And whether it's detailing business or any business, if your business is over because of 10 days of no income, then that's a vulnerable business, I think.
I say it this way. We've really, and I've preached it for a long time, Jason, I couldn't agree more with you, is that here's the deal. When you go into a shop, is that when you open a shop, the minimal amount of savings you should have after you've moved in, after move-in expenses, is 6 months of living and business expenses put away. Really, you should have a year. If you're 5 years into your business, you should have 1 to 2 years worth of income put aside. Now, that's hard to do. It's not easy.
Yeah.
It can be done, but it takes, you've got to look at, a good friend of mine said, well, you got to look at these guys who are expanding. You only expand to your abilities. This is a lesson. Spend within your means. And, I'll give my own illustration is '08 comes up, right? We were close in '08, and we watched with, that was a slow burn. That was slow devastation. This was overnight. And so I think a lot of people were scared, but one thing that we learned, Diane and I've never carried a lot of debt. We've been really good about debt. My biggest debt is I like cars, I got a thing for cars, and, so forth. But other than that, we just don't. And we found out in '08 is that it was good not having debt, right? But it was bad not having big savings,
Yeah.
And so we balanced it out over the last, decade. Is we said, okay, we're not going to be quite as reckless in paying off debt. Sounds crazy. Reckless paying off debt? What are you talking about? Well, because we put savings away, So we would say, hey, okay, we're going to take, let's say that you took 30% of every dollar that came in, every 100, you took $30 out. We would take that, put 15 towards paying off debt, 15 towards savings. And before you knew it, is that we had enough savings to sustain us for a pretty long time.
Yeah.
So I hope going forward, I hope that the people that survive this, and even the people that don't, they come back into it. There's going to be those too. There's going to be those that are fighters. They love it. It devastates them. Man, my plea would be don't shut your business down. Is that keep it going at every cost, keep it going as long as it's not going to financial wreck you. Go get a part-time gig. Don't give your customers up. Get a part-time gig and work through this because it's going to end. So would you agree?
Yeah. And actually there's a lot of discussion about this on social media, but part of fighting to the end and fighting to save your business means exactly what you said. It means temporarily not offering services, but keep your business and then go get a side gig for income to get through this period of time. And then you come out with your business. So
absolutely.
Sometimes fighting to stay alive has different flavors to it. It means different things to different people,
Well, and here's the deal is I love that you say that. Here's the other thing is I've been on the other side 2 times in my life, twice, where the '08 was one of them. And I'm going to be very candid and open up. It mentally really damaged me because I let it.
Yeah.
I didn't have the right mentality to share and open up. And I didn't have the right mentors. And well, hold on. I didn't take advantage. My pride got in the way and I damaged myself a little bit, I tweaked myself just a little bit.
Hey, can I add to that?
Yeah.
Because I already know you're damaged. So I'm going to make myself a little vulnerable here because I want to share. I already shared that, my truck was stolen while I was detailing at the McGuire's office. But what I didn't share, and this was a huge wake-up call for me because that was a crisis moment for me because in that truck I had very expensive equipment. I had a beautiful looking detail rig. I mean, it could go to car shows and win best paint. I mean, it was just beautiful, awesome looking truck, very well equipped. I was pretty proud of it. And from outside in, it looks like, oh, this guy's real professional. He's got his shit together. He's got this awesome rig. Let me tell you the backside. The reality was all of my equipment I bought on credit. I had just graduated from college, had no money. So that whole rig was financed and credit cards, buying equipment, all that stuff. So the whole thing was stolen. And I was not prepared for that to happen. And what it did is I was homeless, did not have a place to live, did not have a vehicle to drive around, and did not have a business to run because I had no equipment.
Wow.
And I had no way. I mean, I got my first lesson in automobile insurance. I had insurance, but what I learned is that it covered my truck.
Not the contents.
But none of the contents that were not bolted down were not covered, which was most of the expense on that rig was in my equipment. When I bought equipment, it wasn't just, get something to get the job done. It was, I got the absolute best which sometimes meant the most expensive one I could find. So it was a very dumb place for me to be. And I look back at that moment, I was totally not prepared for that to happen. And it not only shut my business down, but I literally had no home. I was homeless for a while. And fortunately for friends and family, I was, rescued a bit. But I bring that up because there's no shame in not being prepared for a crisis. There's no shame in that. What is sad is if you don't get up and not only fight back, but get back and be in a better position than you were before, so that you are more prepared for a crisis.
Amen. I couldn't have said it any better, brother. And here's the deal, guys, is that, my shame in 2008 was that I was failing my staff. I was failing my family. I tried to market my way through it. I tried to keep people that were on our payroll alive, and I did too much, and I damaged everybody. I didn't just damage employees. I damaged our family's future. I set it back 10 years. And it took me, and I'll be really direct, in 2013, I looked down at my little dog and I decided to take my life the next day because I was so distraught 5 years after 2008 had happened. My self-awareness of I didn't see value in me. And I looked down at my little dog, Macy, and she looked up at me with these big old eyes. And all of a sudden, God used her as a tool and said, dude, get your head out of your ass. And I went and got counseling immediately. I went through 10 counseling sessions, and it changed my life. And I still go back to that depression now. Would I have taken my own life? I don't believe so. I think I had to hit my own rock bottom. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. And so I just buried myself in emotions and wasn't talking to anybody. I almost destroyed my marriage. I was inches away from a divorce. We were actually talking about it. And if I hadn't been strong enough to pull myself out, I for sure would have lost my family, and I could have lost my life.
Yeah.
From that point forward, when all this happens, that's why I'm out hiking right now. That's why I'm having fun. I didn't do those things back then. I just tried to work my way through it. It was bigger than me. I couldn't fix it. So you know what? Go have some fun. Be a little reckless, go pay yourself some dividends, by gifting yourself.
Yeah.
So when this all happened last week and I was so depressed and I was down, I just said, hold on, man, I've been here before. I need to help these young people out, figure this out. I need to get the right people, AKA you, AKA all these people that we've had on the call, to help people.
Yeah.
And, that's what I love about this discussion with you today.
Yeah, it's time to help each other, clearly.
And thank you so much for sharing your story, because, I didn't realize the depths that your loss had gone and what the heartache had caused you. But did you come out stronger?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So guess what? The message from both of us right now, and we'll dive into some more questions, is it's okay, man. We're going to get through this. And if you fail, again, why did so many people financially, were they out in less than 30 days? None of us prepared for this, but some of us were prepared. Yeah. Were we prepared for this level of devastation? No. Was I? No. The other thing on this is that I just read last night, and I'll post this. I'll send it over to Chris, and we'll post it on our blog, is that the U.S. government for the first time authorized unemployment to self-employed people. So if you've been paying taxes and filing, you can get X amount per week, from what I understand. Don't quote me at that. I just found it late last night. A friend of mine sent it over. So, I've never
I heard the same thing.
Yeah. I've never drawn unemployment. Will I do it? My business is shut down. It might come to a point to where we need to. Diane's going to be deployed with the National Guard. We are very much watching our pennies right now. We're very thrifty on the fact that we are we're in this for the long haul, and we're going to get through it. And everybody's saying, hey, man, it just set me back. It set everybody back. But here's the deal: is there are people that are opportunists that are going to keep their eyes open and their brains open and their mouths shut. And when they come out of this, it's not going to take them long to come back, is it?
That's right.
Okay, so next, let's go ahead and jump through a couple more things. I got to move you off of here. I move my screen over. So certain segments of the market, they're going to have money. And, you know, you look at who's working really hard right now. Healthcare, you know, believe it or not, they're the overtime, all these warehouse workers and so forth. I think we're going to do, there's a lot of cars being sold right now. You know, I've got a buddy of mine that's in the detailing industry. He just ordered a brand new decked out Ford truck because the deals are pretty damn good. 0% interest, you know, I mean, cool, right? So there's going to be certain segments of the market that's going to have money right away when this frees up, and everybody's going to have the heebie-jeebies about what the hell's in their car still. They're going to be that way through summer. So there's going to be opportunities. My biggest thing is don't take and missell this thing, because the industry is going to be loud with people talking about coronavirus, you know, and sanitizing your car. I don't think that's the smart way to go. I think that I don't do Me Too advertising very well. I think there's another message that you can send without being so much of an opportunist that you're kind of fleecing people. So Jason, input on that.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, there's a difference between taking the opportunity to benefit from this both personally and in business, but in the spirit of that, I would agree it shouldn't be at the expense of your customers and trying to scam them into something.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then, you know, here's the deal is that your will, we call this your will to survive, your will to live in search and rescue in the military. Right now, that's your number one asset. Your number two is your ability to work. Is that if you're hurting right now, man, there are jobs out there, believe it or not. There are jobs out there. Everywhere we've been in the supermarkets, I had to go in and shop yesterday. They're looking for people. Now that's going to slow now because people have got, they've hoarded so much. I think that people have got plenty of groceries for a bit, hopefully plenty of toilet paper, and that will start coming back into supply again. But here's the deal is that get pissed off, get angry. That's okay, man. Make that work for you. Now, here's how it's helped me and here's how it's hurt me is that I let 08 beat me up as a man, and I shouldn't have. This thing is bigger than all of us, man. Even the gurus, man, everybody you listen to, it's going to hurt them. But the difference is people that are semi-prepared for this, they're going to come out pretty good. There's going to be some people that are investing and so forth. We've got one of our kids looking for a house right now. They've got positive jobs in the military. They're in a good position. You know, they're in a very good position. So there's a time to make money too. But here's the deal. Don't get so pissed off that it causes you angry where you turn it inside and you quiet up and it hurts your mind and your heart. You know?
But get angry and use the energy to do things.
Absolutely. Yeah. Average is gone. Is that you know, I think now that moving ahead is that us as an industry is that we've got to realize that you've got to have I think the fallout a lot of people aren't talking about is the amount of people that have hired on subcontractors, so to say, and haven't been taking payroll taxes out and haven't been paying workers' comp. That fallout's going to hit us next because when all these people apply for, they might not have understood that they couldn't get unemployment. And all of a sudden, when the government catches up, there's going to be a lot of people that have been running underneath the radar that are going to be caught up with. And I think it's going to take, they could come back 2-3 years later and catch up with some people. And so I think that this is a good time to make things, take them above the board, do things right, pay your taxes, pay your employees right, and treat people correctly. And I think there's a number of lawsuits waiting to happen in and out of our industry for not making PPE widely available. So I think that's some fallout that's going to come that we're going to see in the future. You got any input on that, Jason?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And one thing I was thinking of as you were sharing that was that I'm, you know, personally, I am not in a position where I have to think or worry about my next meal. I'm not thinking about my mortgage payment. I'm actually very blessed. But what that does is it gets me thinking, as you were saying that, about those, because I've actually talked to detailers that their position is much different in that they've lost their income. They don't know where their next meal is coming from. They don't know where their rent is going to come from. And it's a very, very scary place to be. But I want to encourage people that are in that place. Yeah, you got sucker punched, you got knocked down, you're in this place where you weren't prepared for this. But the question is, what do you do about this now? And you don't, like you said, you don't have to sit there and wallow in it and be ashamed of your position and where you're at. There is some support for you. There are some things you can do that you can reach out to people. You can go get a job and do that safely. So there are things you can do. And I really feel for people that are in this place where this event, this crisis has just totally knocked them down. But again, it's all about, what do you do now? Do you get up and fight back?
Well said, man. That's magical. I mean, that's just,
Yeah.
I got chills because it's true. There's so many people, and listen, we've been there, man. You heard Jason's story. You've heard mine. I mean, I had four kids in '08 and all young, and man, I was scared, but you know what? I didn't give up, and I knew I could get myself. The one thing I've always been able to do is count on myself working my ass off. I always knew I could pull through. I would work through anything. I wasn't always the smartest guy on the street. And I wasn't the guy that was going to turn '08 into a positive and make a ton of money, but I knew I could survive it. And I just want people, Jason, I know right now from hearing that, he just wants people just know you've got this, man. You're going to come through it. You just got to keep yourself mentally and physically as healthy as you can. And then get angry and go after this thing. Let it piss you off and come back with vengeance. So, So perceived value, you know, I've always been, we've marketed every company that we've owned with perceived value, is that you want to put in, as I read a quote one time, and it escapes me who said it, was the best sold book on Amazon's not the best written book. It's the best marketed book. And that's true with absolutely everything. I would be an absolute idiot. There's guys in the detail mafia skill wise that can slaughter me, you know, in a nanosecond. The difference is that I've always been really good at perceived value, knowing what our market wants, building up trust, and then being able to deliver a product that we could profit at. And so I think that right now is that being honest with your customers, and just, you know, people are looking for information. This is a great time. We've instructed all the mafia to really get deep into their newsletters, and don't fleece people with buying things. Fleece people, or I shouldn't say fleece, educate people with what's going on, with why you're taking the actions you're taking in your business, whether you're closed down, whether you're not doing interiors, or you're just doing exteriors only, or if you're doing everything still, is educate them why you've made that decision, and go from there. But the key is keep even if you're in trouble, if you're struggling right now and you've got to go get a full-time gig and you're working 80 hours a week just to put bread back on the table, stay in contact with your customer base and give them a good perceived value. Still keep your customers where you're the top of mind, where they think of detailing, they think of you. So Jason, anything to add to that?
Yeah, so one of the things that our company is doing, which I think I'm really proud of our team doing this, is we are coaching all of our touch points throughout our business to maintain relationship. So all of our sales guys, they're not sitting at home having a staycation right now. They are making phone calls, writing emails, and they're staying in relationship with our customers. And I think this is a super important thing to do, that even if you've made the decision as a detailer not to provide services, not to have cars in your shop, not to go mobile, you still can maintain that relationship with your customers. You can talk to them, even if it's a phone call saying, hey, here's why we're not providing services, but while I'm on the phone with you, is there anything you need? Is there anything I can do for you? And I can guarantee you that people are going to remember that after this crisis is over. They're going to remember what people did for them during this crisis. And the other thing I think of, Renny, as you're talking, is this whole, and I heard this in the Detail Guardians webcast, but it's in my notes from 2 weeks ago. This whole term of social distancing, every time I hear that, the back of my hair goes up, because I don't like this term, social distancing. I think the accurate term is physical distancing. That is something that we should be doing right now. Yeah. But right. Socially, we have more of a want and need now to be connected more than any other time. So social connection is super important right now. So I don't like this word social distancing. And part of what you're talking about, the perceived value and the relationship with people, is stay connected, socially connected, whether it's with a phone call, a text, an email, whatever. But words and syntax mean something to me, and to me, there's a huge difference between physical distance and social distance.
Boy, that's a great point. I love that. Two things that I'm going to roll off of that is that when this first happened, Jim Gogan, which he called me up and he goes, "Hey man, you've got to develop an SOP for this. How are we going to attack this thing?" So Jason, I went out for that first week when the quarantine started here in California, and I contacted every expert within the detailing industry, within the chemical industry, within the PPE industry, military friends, military medics. Keith DuPlessis, which is, we know Keith very well. He's an E8 within the Texas Guard. He's attached to a medical engineering group. I talked to our Guard doctors, nurses, everybody else you can imagine, to come up with the solution for an SOP. And the SOP was, I can't recommend getting into cars right now, unfortunately. And it broke my heart.
Yeah.
Well, during all that 80 hours, I had almost zero contact with anybody. When it first happened, our family it was new. We were enjoying it a little bit, we bonded a little bit, but then Dad went to work, and Dad went to work with purpose. And at the end of it, I realized on Sunday, I was lonely.
Yeah.
I haven't hugged in days. Here we are in the same house, and I just needed somebody to hold me and give me a hug.
Yeah. The very basic needs are super important right now.
It was crazy. Yeah. Another thing is that, free education is, I'm going to push this, is that a lot of young people are going to look, education is key. I didn't get my bachelor's degree until I was in my 40s. I got my master's in my 50s. And I did that for both degrees, cost me less than $2,000. How? It's called the National Guard. Most states have a state guard you can join. Right now in California, that's a non-deployable overseas military force. And if you join and you're in good standings with your unit, is any of the Cal State programs, it's pretty much free tuition. You have to serve one weekend a month, and you have to serve up to 15 days a year at your ATs, your annual trainings. So for young people, if you live in a state that has a National Guard, that's a great way to go. If you don't want to deploy overseas, you could go State Guard, which is a state service in-house that backs up the National Guard in the event that the National Guard is sent overseas to fight wars. And so there are educations. There's a lot of online education right now that universities are putting on for free. Take this time to educate yourself. It doesn't need to be expensive. So let's go ahead and go through, Jason, and let's go ahead and go over to, I'm going to share just some personal things. And by all means, please, this doesn't reflect anything on Jason. So this is mine. Now is the time to move and act with purpose. What I mean by that is everything that you do is journal. I'm journaling every day, my good, bad, the ugly of this event. Everything that, Chris and I are going to sit down with a powwow. We're developing new tactics because the world is going to change. But we have short memories too. You look at 9/11. I used this illustration the other day. People said, this isn't going to really affect us. TSA. That's all I'm going to tell you is that 9/11 happened. There was no TSA. You got on an airplane. That one thing has changed our lives. There's going to be things that we're going to see that are going to come up with this, that we're going to have to move and act with purpose. Jason, would you like to add anything to that?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think there's going to be changes that we can't even imagine. I mean, we can predict some of the changes, but there's some things that are now different from here on out.
No, you're exactly right. I'm going to go back. I want to make a note real quick in my book. Now, society is failing. This is the fight. I witnessed this yesterday. We kind of talked about it briefly. People aren't taking this serious. When I was in the store, I had people coming right up on me. If anybody knows me, I'm kind of the guy that this is kind of bullshit. I kind of grew up with, the World War II bunch. Put your panties on and go. Not with this shit. I don't want anybody, physical contact, stay away from me. If you don't live in my house, don't get near me. People yesterday were reckless. And let me tell you something, man. You might not believe this is as big as it is. That's okay. But play along the game with us. For those of us that are really concerned about it, stay away from other people. Put your damn mask on to protect me as much as anything. Now they're saying, come out last night with, oh yeah, you better wear some kind of mask. We'll make one. Put a bandana on, do something, and then make sure that, you know, we had a protocol yesterday going out, and man, I mean, both my brother and I had 2 levels of clothing on. When we got out of a public place, we stripped the outer level on. We stripped everything. We sanitized everything down. We had protective covers in our cars. We got rid of that, and we walked into we've got a semi-clean room in the garage and a clean room in the laundry room. All of our laundry goes directly into the washer dryer, starts right then and there, and goes through its process. Also, I would love to take this time is hug people over the phone. This is a great time for the people that are over. I'm going to lower that number down. Good friend of mine that's on the front lines of this is seeing people in their 30s, 40s, and 50s. They just had a guy that was physically, he was a professional athlete, and he got this crap, and he died like 3 days ago, right here in Southern California. It's not taking the old only. It's if you might not even know that you've got a weakness in your body. I just had surgery. So I'm being very careful because my body is fighting off that, you know, that surgery happened. And so I'm nice and well and healthy. But the fact is my immune system fought off a incision. And so it was a little weakened. And I'm just being completely aware of my realities. Jason mentioned his. So you got anything to add to some, I love your physical distancing. I love that term better than I do social distancing.
Well, and I'll share personally about this because I'm a very physical person. I mean, I'm a hugger. I'm a total hugger, and that's one of the painful things about this whole thing is the physical distancing. And I get at an intellectual level that that's a need right now, and I should and I do that. But emotional level, I really miss. I miss hugs, you know? It's like, there you go.
Come here. No, I do too. I'm with you. And I told my wife that I'm more the hugger. She's kind of the dude in the group, and I'm kind of the chick where I'm very,
I heard that about you.
I am, you know, I need that physical contact, you know, and so there was the other day, you know, I mean, I'm hugging on my dogs more, you know, but I finally went to her and I said, man, I just need some, you know, I just need to be touched. I just want you to hug me. And we've been holding on to each other more, you know, and it is helping. Back to gratitude is I went to make a point that Jason kind of led me down. Call your customers. Here's the customers to really think about. Anybody that's really over the age of 50, or if they've got a weakness, don't call them and say, hey, just want to make sure you're alive, you know, because people are still prideful, right? But call people and just say, hey, I'm just checking in on you. How you doing? You know, my business is shut down right now. So I'm just calling my customers and checking in. Is there anything you need? You know, is your family okay? Just do a wellness check on everybody. I'm having to go down is that I'm on active standby orders for the military right now. So kind of what I've done is every day I'm checking on a different soldier underneath my command. And I've got 2 soldiers that just deployed this morning that are going into the field. And I'll be checking on them 2 or 3 times a day because I don't know what they're going to be doing yet. You know, we got an idea, but so I'm calling people up that could be stressed. Call mafia members up, but I'm checking on my elderly friends. I'm checking on our elderly, and some of them are tougher than I am, you know. But going back to the gratitude is I want to call out somebody right now. I want to call out Dave Morris. Dave Morris got me my current day start back in '97 in detailing. Dave and I have talked several times during this ordeal. He's a pilot for one of the top name brands. You know, if you do a internet search, Google. He's a pilot for a company, and guess what? They've been affected by this. Art Scholl was a legendary pilot. He believed in this long-haired, little skinny, believe it or not, skinny and long hair kid that was from the wrong part of town, and he got me my start. Art died during the filming of Top Gun. He changed my life. Winnie and Bill Bartell and Becky Bartell, they all believed in me. that was a family that believed in me, and they brought this kid up that didn't have a lot of exposure to the finer things in life, and they gave me those exposures. Walt, Monique Stankiewicz, they really changed my life also as a young entrepreneur. And Walt taught me the value of being thrifty, you know? So to all of them, I'm going to take one-on-ones. I've already talked to many of them, but I'm making sure right now in these tough times to call them up and thank them, because they gave me the baseline, the foundation to survive this thing and to be here. And so if you've got people that you're thankful for, this is a great time to give them a call, make yourself feel better, you know? So, Jason, any input on that?
Yeah, one of the things that I'm mostly doing for myself on a daily basis, but it looks like I'm doing for other people, but it's really something I'm doing for myself, is I'm taking every day, I'm reaching out to 3 detailers. And they may be people I know or don't know, but just 3 detailers, and I'm reaching out either by phone or by text, and I'm basically just saying, hey, I'm here if you need somebody to talk to, and do you need anything? Is there anything I can do to help? And I'm actually really, it's a fascinating thing how people respond to that kind of question. I get everything across the board from, oh no, I'm good. Thanks for asking, but I'm really okay. Which I always question, how could you possibly be okay right now?
Right.
But I'm like, okay, that's where you're at. And then I get responses like, hey, I need somebody to call me every day. Can you do that? And I'm like, sure, I can do that. So it just is, and like I said, it's something I'm doing for myself, just because this time of isolation, you don't need to be isolated. So part of it is just reaching out.
Jason's not bullshitting, because he has sent me no fewer than 2 or 3 texts giving me compliments and saying how things going. So he's not lying. He's done that's been an influence to me, because you took that lead. And I think that all of us need to take that lead and do something, because I love the fact that you said that you're doing it for you. It's therapy, but you say that, but you're making impacts, you're making positive creators of love in other people's lives. And Bushy, all these guys, all the haters, I don't give a shit what you say about me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm as tough, I'm as manly as they come. Jason is too. But you know what? At some point you need to lose that freaking ego and just give people, right now that over the phone hug that they need. I think it's important. So lastly, dollar saved is dollar earned, is that I think coming out of this is that we all need to commit to, we need to put a little more money away. We need to be a little more fiscally responsible with our funds that's coming in. Instead of looking at, that 5,000 square foot shop, maybe a 2,500 square foot shop would do fine, and save that $1,000 a month for a rainy day. Is that, believe it or not, when you save up to that level, at some point in your life, you're going to be pretty much bulletproof, is that you're going to be prepared. There's a lot of different ways you can save money, even to tax deferred. This is a great time to be talking to your accountant, your CPA, is because you can put medical savings away. You can put, there's assets you can put away that are widely, available. And then just, there's the assets of going ahead and paying the taxes on it and putting your savings account. So Jason, we'll end with that. Any input on that?
No, I agree with the rationale of, saving some money. And I know it hits some people hard right now because of their current situation. It's like, how can you possibly save a dime right now? But I think it's good advice, and hopefully people are open to it, so that in the future, whatever you're going through right now, you don't have to go through again. You have prepared for another response to a crisis.
Absolutely. And so with that, we'll open it up to some questions here in a minute. So our next webcast is going to be April 3rd, 9 a.m., same time, same place. We're going to finish up chapter 1. I've got a couple guests coming in for that one that we're waiting to confirm. Chris will add in. If that's happening, he'll tell you here in a minute who it's going to be. Right now, it's going to be the topics are making the time right. Is that go ahead and make this the right time to do stuff. Perfection or profits is going to be another discussion, is because that's been tied in. I think that could be tied back into what Jason and I just talked about, is that a lot of us detail for ourselves instead of for what the customer's buying. Opportunities in your market and what to look for. We're going to cover that. Advantages over the other guys, the U factor and what others have to say. one bullet, 3 kills, the referral system. Action versus procrastination is that when we come out of this right now, you can't procrastinate. Can't dig yourself in, can't get yourself in trouble. And then Jason, I want to end with a huge thank you hug, for being here. And let's go ahead and take some questions. So Chris, do we have anything?
Well, not really. Well, here's the only question I got, and it comes from Todd Helm. And Todd would like to know how amazing Todd Helm is. And he says, thanks in advance.
Wow. Todd is one of the most, I'll tell you what, I love seeing him on Harley Davidson. There's nothing more than seeing his cool hair flow with the wind when he's riding his Harley, down the road. If you guys know Todd, you know that he probably, I don't know if he'd ever own a Harley or not, but when you get Todd a little bit, when you give him a little adult beverage, he will share his opinion on Harley Davidson pretty quick. So Todd's a great guy. It's been amazing watching Todd come through the ranks and change from a young man when I met him to a mature man, and see his stance on his family and the industry, and he's pretty damn great. So Jason. Uh-oh. Did we lose Jason?
Can you hear me?
Yep, we got you.
There we go.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you know Todd, he's a very sensitive, emotional guy, but he comes across, jokingly, but he is a super guy, has immense knowledge in this detailing industry. And just if you get a chance to talk with him directly, he's a super guy.
He is. I agree 100%. So this another question is that William Lara says, hey, what about adding on a pressure washing services, when we come out of this? And, most of us already have pressure washing. There's a lot of things, a lot of add-ons that I think that you could add on in this is that, sorry, somebody just sent a question over and it just completely took me off track. Sorry, Jason, we'll have to ask you this one next. So, pressure washing, I absolutely. Now in some states, cities, and counties, you got to be really, really careful with it because there are environmental laws with pressure washers. And so you got to look into that. But absolutely, we did at our shops, we did the local gas stations. We had the local Albertson stores. We did all of their work. We did the facility at UPS. We did all the pressure washing at the UPS facility once a month. So we did that. And it was a great. So William, thank you. Israel wants to know, Jason, do you have pants on?
That's an inside joke from a previous webcast, but yes, I am. Those that are concerned about that.
Good. Hey, let's look at this. Is that Prentice? Whatever happened to your truck? Did they ever find it?
Oh, that's a question for me?
Yeah. Did they ever find your truck?
Yeah, it was actually weeks later. I think it was like 5 weeks later, they did find the truck, but it was stripped down to the bone. It was in downtown Los Angeles. Everything of value was stripped off of it. But eventually it was found.
Yeah, wow, that's interesting. Jim Reed says he's going off-road. You'll need to rock an old school F-250. Yeah, we'll take you on. We'll go up. Let's see if the F-250 can hang with the Jeeps, So I agree. Hey, Billy, I'll let you read Billy's. How's that, Chris?
All right. Well, Billy would like to know if I can make a Renny Doyle documentary in the same style as the Tiger King. And I have to be honest, I know about the Tiger King. I know what it's about, but I haven't watched a single bit of it.
Drama sells, and the Tiger King's definitely filled with a lot of I started it, when it first came out, and then all this distracted me. And finally last night I watched a couple episodes, and I got to tell you, I'm kind of hooked. You got to find out how it's going to end, but we don't have enough drama, Billy, I think we have some fun shit that goes around. We're definitely the last training. We had that one could have been a reality series by itself because the characters in the training, that was the wildest training I ever had. The wildest 5 days, 5.5 days actually, that I've ever had in my life. It was absolutely insane. These guys were so much fun and so much different. And, Jason, the guys are coming up, and the day before training, I get a text, and Chris says, I think you're going to have fun with this group. And there's a picture. It's like 22 degrees outside. One of the individuals was T, is from Tahiti, and he was posing with the group up here on Big Bear with his shirt off. Cliff. So, yeah, we could have done one with that, Billy, for sure. Peter Cox, do you have a specific interior training? Yeah, we in the 5-day class, Diane spends about a day and a half. It's pretty insane. Already, we are adjusting that. That is going to include exactly what Jason was talking about earlier, is proper PPE, dealing with viruses, the realities of the heebie-jeebies that people bring into cars. So we are already adapting that. The very next training, once all this opens up, we are going to bring that straight into it right away from this point. And it's going to evolve from there because we're going to get a lot of certifications and so forth. So part of it. Let's see. William wants to know if I'm jealous that Jason still has hair. The question is, the difference between Jason and I is deniability. Is that, so I've seen Jason with his hair's messed up. I could grow my hair out, but my daughters would throw a fit. I tried to do that, and it didn't go over so well because I don't look as good as Jason with hair. I really don't. We need a license for, Al asked that we need to get a license for biohazards and so forth. Absolutely. And I think the IDA, I'll let you kind of jump in there, Jason, and address this one.
Yeah, so in this time, the IDA at the board and the committee level, they're super busy. They're trying to help with people in this moment, but also preparing for the future. And one of the things that's obvious and is already being worked on is to up our game on biohazard and certification and helping people with that skill set. The IDA is stepping up to do that for sure.
Cool. Hold on. I just got a note from the military. So I might, something's coming because, I'm just getting hammered. Prentice adds in that great answer. Thanks, Jason. And so, this is going to move ahead. It's going to move ahead rapidly, but it's going to take some time, to get everything. Yeah. Prentice, everyone who is mobile should have inland marine insurance, which cover the equipment in your mobile rig. Great point. We found out, we really go through our insurance guy is who SEMA uses. And we've got great insurance in place. It's expensive. There's 2 levels of insurance. There's cheap insurance, which you'll find out is basically good for showing that you have insurance.
Yeah. And
if you have a claim, good luck. And then there's good insurance, and you're going to pay for it. But again, you get what you pay for. Joseph, thank you. Appreciate the compliment. So Todd says that thank you so much for the discussion. I'm awe of both of you. Honestly, do you think that there will be a dip in demands for coating paint correction when the market comes back? Jason, I'll let you go with that one first.
Well, I liked what you said earlier that you fully expect a pause. I think when lockdowns have been released and people can go back to work, I like what you said there. I think there's going to be some period of time where people are just going to be like, okay, how do I get back to normal here? What am I doing? And I think once people get past that part, I believe 100% that detailing services are going to be in demand, and all detailers are going to be busy after that.
Simply put, I echo Jason's opinion. So I think so. All right, Chris.
Hey Renny, I got another question in the chat from I'm going to butcher his name again, Chris Blaisdell, but
hey Chris.
It says for the future, what advice would you give to help companies with multiple or many employees keep them employed as business slows or stops during crisis time? How can you help them be as prepared as well?
Again, I'll go back to the simple thing is, a dollar saved is a dollar earned. Is you're going to have to plan for those things. And then also face reality is that, you're not going to always be able to take in and keep people on. I mean, I think that's the reality is you're going to have to keep essential people on to help you out. But we learned the hard way is that, in 2008, we spent our entire life savings and went into debt to keep people on the payroll. And we just couldn't market our way through it. and it was really a silly way to handle it. And so, I think if you're, a bigger company, that's may or may not be easier to do. I think that if you got one or two people, honestly, that's going to be easier to do. But even then, you've got to look at the realities of survival of the fittest. Is it going to hurt you or destroy you or put your family in jeopardy? And if the answer is yes, you got to watch out for your own. Jason?
Yeah, and I think there's gap insurance or loss of income insurance that businesses can get. But going back to your earlier point that, just money in the bank is a good way to help employees through tough times like this. I am aware of a few detail businesses that made the decision to shut down operation, but they said to their employees, don't come to work. We're going to stop operating, and here's some money to get by for the next few weeks. So, I mean, there's definitely some things you can do to be prepared for whatever. I mean, this time it was a virus. Next time, who knows what the crisis is going to be. But the important suggestion is to think ahead and realize that you have employees, and if you care to help them through crisis, then you need to do things to be prepared for an unknown crisis.
Well, and to echo off that, 08 did prepare our government and our agencies. They're doing a much better job. I mean, in one afternoon, literally in 8 hours, Diane and I got our mortgage on hold, all of our car loans on hold, our business insurance on hold, everything on hold in one afternoon. In 08, we tried to do just our house, and 2 years into it, we hadn't gotten anywhere. So now there's programs. Look at, you can unemployment insurance for self-employed for the first time.
Yeah.
Get your staff on unemployment. Tell them, hey man, you know what? Go file. Now, if they're not, if you've been doing the subcontracting thing, this is where things are going to get tricky and could bite some people in the ass in the long run. And I hope that it's a lesson that, the subcontractor things are really, it's a sticky situation. It's a slippery slope. And I don't know what's going to come of that. I really don't. But if you legitimately have employees and have been paying all of their, deductions and taxes and everything else, you're actually in a good position because there's so much that they can apply for as employees. You can also, if you're a big operation, apply for an SBA loan that will take and be forgiven if you keep your employees on and keep paying them. So that might be a good way to take in. And I would give at-home task if you're doing that. Don't just this isn't a staycation.
Vacation, yeah.
It's give them task, is give them things to be doing, is research or, different things to where they can do it from home, is keep them productive, have staff meetings every day and let them know what's going on. Yeah. Talk with them, communicate with them. There's a lot of programs in place. I'm really impressed by the government. I don't know how we're going to pay for this. But I'm impressed that they stepped in quickly to help people. I think it went down. Nobody's ever done this before. It's been 100 years since any of our politicians all the way down on both sides of the aisle. Nobody. And I think, was it ideal? I'll keep my opinions to myself, but the biggest thing is there's things in place to help us.
Yeah, I really liked what you just said about keeping employees on task, even though they're, stay-at-home policy at the moment. But I really appreciate what my own company has done, because we are, as a team, we're being encouraged to stay at home, but also at the same time, stay on task, and here are things you should be doing, and here, it's not business as usual, but it's still business. We are still engaged.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm going to move my one of the things I did is because, I took, and you can see over in this corner is I got a Peloton bike, and I would encourage your staff to, get them exercising. Don't let them, right now there's a lot of binge eating going on, and, a lot of people sitting their booties on the couch and not doing anything. Man, that's the wrong thing to do. So, Israel asked the question, when is Todd Helm coming out with a calendar asking for a friend?
Oh, poor Todd.
Israel, I think that we need to get you two together when all this is done for some, intimate discussions between you and Todd.
Yeah.
Todd, I'd be putting a restraining order on him. You know? Just saying, I mean, yeah, there you go. Prentice is saying he's searching out for a paycheck protection program online. Interesting.
Yeah.
That would be an interesting fact. Now, I do know that back in the days, Diane and I had we hired all of our staff, including Diane and I, through an employment agency, is where they did all of our tax. They did everything, payroll and everything. It cost us about 17% to take and pay people. It was a good deal. Their markup was only 1 or 2% above what the state was in Idaho. So that we'd normally be paying out 16% for everything. They were only charging us a couple points on that. They took care of everything. They had paycheck protection in place. Problem is we didn't pay it for some of our staff. We paid it for our top staff only, and it only lasted a few months. It was like 3 or 4 months, and it ran out. But it was better than nothing. Oh yeah, there you go. Calendar with Bob Phillips is now what they're saying is with Todd. So why not Jason? Why not you and I? Why?
I know we're not viewed that way.
We aren't. I mean, that's sad. My feelings are deeply hurt. So, all right, Chris. Anything else?
I had a pretty good question here. I thought, where'd it go though? Sorry. Oh, Victor wanted to know if our webcast could be used as credit for the IDA, and I think there's a good chance, but the IDA is going to have to determine that. But I would suggest that you.
Oh, I can answer that.
Oh, go ahead.
It does qualify because I've actually used it for my own continuing ed credits. So
There you go.
And that's a good segue. Renny and Chris, I just want to thank you guys as a team. You're putting out information, you're staying engaged with everybody, you're having a regular ongoing program, and it really is helping people to get through the day and actually have a good vision for tomorrow. So
thank you.
It does count for IDA. So definitely do that journal on the website for those of you that are IDA members. If you're on this webcast right now, then the next thing you should do when we close this is get on the IDA website and put that journal entry in because it does count.
Then lastly, I'm going to take in, I'm going to send this over the wavelengths right now is listen, a lot of people have been critical of the IDA of not doing enough or sending out information a little. Listen, this is all brand new. The IDA is made up of volunteers. It's a non-for-profit organization.
Yeah.
We are going to take and address the PPE certifications, proper bio, dealing with bio correctly. It's going to take time. Right now there's no way. All the people all I'm going to do is send you to Google and type in available PPE and look at the stories where entire communities, states, counties, hospitals, military can't find it. So we are not going to be able to make this happen overnight. None of us, bad for us, bad for you. I've got PPE. I hate to say it. We're prepared somewhat. We're not prepared enough, but here's the deal. Nobody saw this coming. We do now, but it's going to take us some time to get to that location where we can set you guys up.
Hey, Renny, do you mind if I do a shameless plug for other programs?
Absolutely.
So in addition to the content that you guys are providing, and again, I say thank you because I think it's helping lots of people. Rupus is offering 2 webcasts tomorrow, and they are on the polishing topic. So those of you that want to up your game on polishing, that's available tomorrow at 2 different time slots. And then also the IDA is offering another panel discussion on the virus and the crisis. And then on Friday, IDA is also offering a specific webcast with the human side, the emotional side, the stress management, anxiety part of getting through this together. So that topic's being offered on Friday. So those are other things that you guys can get engaged in.
Cool. Hey, Chris, just a note, can we get those over onto our social media and plug all those? Jason, will you send Chris links over to yours that Rupes is doing so we can share those, and then also the IDAs? Another question real quick, Marcus, what's up, buddy? Any insight? Oh, this is great, from event leaders or hosts of events as to cancellations. We've got 2 events that's on. Well, we got a lot of events. We've shut down our operations. I'm sending out a notice that our May class is obviously not going to happen, because it's 2 weeks in, and there's no way this thing's going to be opened back up by, at least in California, it's not going to be opened up by early May. We're going to have to extend a little bit. So we're going to have to cancel events at our own for the Mafia. 2 trainings, April and May trainings, have been postponed. We're going to double up or triple up on trainings to make them up to those that are coming. Even if I have to train you one-on-one, it will get done. It will get done rapidly. Number 2, our spring fling is being postponed. But what we're going to do is, for the Mafia, is we're going to go live. I'm going to talk to the instructors, and we're going to just put classes on. Southern Detailers Conference. Talked to Big D yesterday. Shared my opinion with them. We'll see. That's in June. We're going to see what's happening. SEMA. SEMA has gone to everybody that's exhibitors and has offered their money back. And B, they have not made a decision. I think SEMA is far enough out to we've got a good chance of it still happening. But SEMA is aggressively addressing the issue and either offering credits, stay where you're at, incentives to stay where you're at, or offering your money back if your company's been hurt. My fear is that a lot of detailers are not going to have the means to travel for a little bit. Doesn't mean that we're not going to get engaged, but honestly, May, June events for me is going to be really tough because of where I live. Simple as that, is that we're in quarantine, and I think we're going to be one of the latter ones to come out of this quarantine. Jason?
Yeah, no, totally agree.
So for those events is that the Southern Detailers Conference, I shared my opinion of what I'd like to see done, and we'll see. It was a really good conversation with Daryl yesterday, and it kind of gave him some insight of what I'd be looking at. Other vendors that I've shared with would be looking at, but right now, I mean, we're probably going to lose Air Force One, our project. I don't imagine that's going to happen just because Seattle's been hit so tough. Also, my concern is of coming out of this and putting money away, because we don't here's the other thing that people aren't talking about, a second wave. This thing could come back. It's shown in the past that they have, if you look at historical charts, Philadelphia in 1918 had a reoccurrence that was damn near as big weeks later after the first occurrence happened, and it hit them hard. And so we've got to be looking at this with real eyes and paying attention. Some states are going to come out of it easier. New York, New Jersey, California, Louisiana, Florida, Washington State are all getting hit pretty hard. And those are all big draws for detailers.
Cool. Hey, I thought I'd give you a little rundown of what we got planned for the next few days. Tomorrow, midday around 12 Pacific, 3 Eastern, we're going to have Yancy Martinez on with Renny, just kind of doing a live podcast. And then Friday at this same time, we're going to be doing another one of these. I'm working on putting together a panel for that one. Can't share that just yet because they're not all confirmed, but should be done by the end of today. And then Monday, we'll be doing another one of these, and we should have Barry Thiel with SB3 on with Renny for that one.
It's going to be fun. I've also offered another operator that operates a really big shop, $1 to $2 million a year in annual sales. I've asked him to come on at some point. He'll join us. Big operator, just to talk about what he's doing and so forth, just at the big level and what he's seeing with dealerships and everything else. So, well, Jason, thanks a lot, man. This was more than what I thought it was even going to be. It's always a delight to work with you. And so take and stay safe, my friend, and
Thank you.
Stay positive. And if you need any help from us, we're there. Don't forget the RUPES events coming up. Hone in your skills while you've got the time. And don't forget the IDA events. We'll make sure to join on those things. And don't forget, pay yourself a little bit. This Chris will tell you, these Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I've been wanting to do this, Jason. It's me working on my business. I've been wanting to do this, go through the book for 6 to 9, maybe a year. I made that long ago. And so to be able to take and start accomplishing this was a task I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And so we started doing it. We're not going to start now. Once it frees up, we won't be doing 3 days a week. We're just doing this to occupy people's time and get them some solid foundation. But we'll go down to once a week once we all launch again, and we'll have a good time. So I'm sure we'll see you back before we end this book, and then we'll get on to other topics. You'll be a guest that we'll have on many times. So thanks for being a friend to not just me, but the industry. And be safe, everybody. Take care. Be kind to each other.
Yes, be kind.
We'll see you later, all. Take care.